Hey guys, welcome to True Talk. We got a special podcast today. This is the first time ever.
Wow.
I like first time ever, Frank.
Me too.
Yeah. I got my man Frank Eufemia, number one, and I got my man Mike Pfeil here.
What's up, man?
What's up, dude?
This is awesome.
It is awesome. What's funny is there was a time probably a few years ago where this would have been impossible, right? To have you two sit down in the same room.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Might have been.
For sure.
But what I want to talk about today is working together, working with agents, and why it takes a lot of self-humbling, it takes growth, and you have to understand that, you have to figure out how to work with a variety of different people in this business if you truly want to build a big business.
You do.
Right? And we're partly joking, but there was a time, to be straight up, where you guys didn't really get along. Is that fair?
It's fair.
Yeah. And then, we talked about, if you haven't seen, Mike's True Talk, we talked about Mike leaving, coming back, which, Frank, you were not a big fan of.
No,
either side of that.
I told Sean I was going to quit. and he said, where are you going to go? And hung up on me.
I remember when he called me, he was like, Mike Pfeil's coming back. I was like, cool. He's like, Frank don't want him to come back. I was like, yeah, I'm not surprised. But he's still coming. Like, yep, they'll figure it out. But, from when you first hired Mike, what was that like? Did you guys just kind of butt heads from the beginning, or? Yeah,
and I don't know why. I really don't know why. I always felt like we were trying to help everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my MO never changed.
Right.
I think I might have been a little more abrasive.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was like, but it was always seemed like, I remember, and I don't know if you remember this. We were having a meeting at the office, and there was maybe 10 or 15 people there, and we were talking about doing like some sort of reward for people. And then, you said breakfast, and Jamie's like, oh, he hates breakfast. And then, like, you must have said breakfast 15 more times the next 2 minutes. And I'm going like, what is wrong with you? But just it was small stuff like that. And then he would come in the office and go like, what are you guys doing? And I would answer him, and then I'd hear him like 2 minutes later going and ask Jamie, like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, I just told you. But I feel like I don't, and I don't know. And part of it is I never asked him like what happened before he got here to not trust us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or always feel like we were hiding stuff. But it was a lot of that. And then I'm sure I didn't handle it. I know I didn't handle the situation right, because I'm like,
yeah,
whatever, dude, screw you,
Right.
And that's definitely not the way to do it, because there's always story just behind everything. You know what I mean? I didn't take the time to figure it out.
I don't remember exactly. I think in the beginning, I just felt like, I always got the feeling like Frank thought he was like maybe better than me or something, and that's kind of the way that I felt the way he spoke to me. I'm like, I'm not going to let someone disrespect me. So, but then it goes both ways. Like if he says something, then I give it back, and then he gives, and then it keeps going.
It's like siblings almost.
It doesn't,
yeah, for sure.
And it doesn't stop. You just go back and forth. But yeah, that went on for a while. You know, and I think I don't know how it happened or how it went, but yeah, we just didn't get along, man.
Yeah.
I think both of us had egos too. I think I wanted so hard to prove myself and prove that I had value, and then I guess he's almost, I don't know, I can't speak for him, but maybe he thought that I was trying to be better than him or something. I don't know, and then it just went back and forth, but it just continued that way for years.
Well, in the beginning, like if you weren't doing 30, 40 grand a month, like you weren't nothing.
Right.
And I truly made people feel that way.
Yeah.
Like, and you weren't doing anything. And in the beginning, you don't have enough money to invest in leads. Like there's zero chance you're going to do, Hall of Fame numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
And Taylor, I'm sorry. And, I think part of it was that too. Like, dude, you're not doing what you need to be doing.
So you kind of had some expectations for him that maybe, would you say you kind of set up?
Dude, and that was one of the biggest things I learned is I put my expectations on everybody.
Right.
And then I made them feel a certain kind of way if they weren't.
Yeah.
Because, you remember back in the day with the pink board and all, like, that's kind of how I learned the business. And I liked it, right? It was because my dad was the biggest critic I could ever
it was right
met.
up your alley.
Yeah, it was right up my alley because I grew up with that. But what I realized is it's not for everybody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's one of the biggest lessons I took away from that whole situation.
Yeah.
You
That's
know, I never
huge.
thought he was not as good as me. He just wasn't doing what I was doing. And,
Right.
and if you weren't, you were weird. You know?
Yeah, we alienated people
We
for
definitely
that back
did.
then. I mean, and also we're talking, over 10 years ago, just
Yeah.
about, right? Like,
Yeah.
did you feel that Frank kind of had expectations that maybe you weren't even asking for? Or?
I don't even remember, dude.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like just so far gone.
Yeah.
It
It
does
was.
seem like it even happened. So it's kind of hard to even
Yeah.
say exactly why. I
Yeah.
don't
It just
remember.
didn't gel.
Yeah.
It just didn't work.
It
you know?
didn't, yeah. And then, so you were here for, how long were you here before you left? Just
Probably 3.5 years.
3.5 years. Yeah. And did you just abruptly leave? Did you tell Frank?
No,
or-
just left.
just
Just
left.
rolled out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Dude,
left.
what were you thinking when that happened?
I mean, I was pissed.
Yeah.
Because, just like when we left that deal,
Yep.
people leave,
Right.
and then you always blame it on the person that's leaving, and it may not
Correct.
necessarily be their fault. Because I remember when we left, dude, there was an army of people that just kept calling. Where
Oh,
are
yeah.
you guys going? You know what I mean? And we weren't necessarily trying to get them to leave, but
No.
we weren't turning them away.
Correct.
So it was part of that. And then he had leads, and back then it was like the recurring lead orders, and
Yeah.
you didn't have the BPLs. You couldn't just turn them off.
Right. Yeah. You
So
had
now
to eat 'em.
and I ate a lot of those.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah. He was
So at that
not-
point, you were like, I'm done with him.
yeah, I was so mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so mad.
Yeah. And it's funny, 'cause you take everything personal, right?
Do
Like,
I?
especially when you're, well, I'm not saying, I don't mean you, but yes. But
I
like,
definitely do.
in this business, you do, right?
Yeah.
It's like, because you were just leaving because you thought, hey, it's going to be a better deal for me and my family,
Yep.
right? Fair.
Yep. That's what I thought.
And then you're looking at it like, yo, he's screwing me over,
Yeah, for sure.
right? Which
For
is
sure.
makes sense because it's your agency. You built this. You felt like you put some time in with him,
Yep.
right? And then he came back like about a year later.
Yeah, it was just about a year.
Now,
Right? Almost exactly.
how did you find out he was coming back? Sean called you?
Sean
or-
called me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you say? How'd that conversation
He
go?
said, "Dude, sit down." I was like, "Oh, jeez." I was like, "What's up?" He goes, "Pfeil's coming back, and he's going to work with you." I said, "Dude, if he does, I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit."
I'm gonna quit.
And he goes, "Where are you going to go?" And then he hung up, and then he called me back, and I'm like, "Did he really just hang up on me?" And then he called me back like 4 or 5 hours later. He's like, "Have you calmed down yet?" And he's like, "Dude, here's why." And he went through all this stuff like, "Dude, have you ever made a mistake? How would you feel if everybody that you did wrong, intentionally or not intentionally, held it against you for the rest of your life?" I'm
Yeah.
like, and then, when he's saying stuff that
It makes sense.
is right,
Yeah.
that you don't want to be right,
Right.
I'm like, ugh.
Yep.
And I'm like, whatever. And then I go, well, shoot. I mean, you might get me to, but Jamie, He's like, you better get her in control.
Yeah.
It's going to work out. And all that money you complain about and leads that you bought, that, by the way, you sold and made money off of.
Right.
If you ever want to get that back, how else is it going to happen?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not asking you to give him the keys to the palace. Just give him a chance.
Yeah.
And so we did.
Yeah.
It took a minute.
Yeah.
Because at
It
first
did
you were
take-
kind of like hands off, right? Like you're coming back, but I ain't working
It
with
probably
you.
took 6
Yeah.
months. I think
Yeah.
it took 6
Yeah.
months.
It took, it did. It took about 6 months, and
Yeah.
then he, came in and sat down. And we had a deep conversation. And
Yeah. How long after him coming back did y'all sit down?
It was probably 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when it started. He's like, dude, I can't do it without y'all, and I need help, and that's not saying that we're anything special, but he was like 10 minutes from our office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's isolated by himself. And we're like,
Well,
He's your
I had a team
neighbor,
of
but
people- I had a team of people working over there.
yeah,
but
Yeah.
you did.
I tell people that every day. Like, you can't grow this business by yourself.
Yeah.
No one can do it alone. You need to have someone. I don't care
Yeah.
how good you are. Like,
Yeah.
even Sean had the front 8. Like, no one can do it by themselves.
Right.
And if you think you can, you're not. Nothing's going to happen. So you have to have someone. And I knew the only way to grow is I need help.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then in that conversation, he goes, "What about this time you did this?" I was like, "Yep, I did it. I was an asshole."
Yeah.
He goes, "Well, what about that?" Oh, yeah, I did that too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was a complete asshole.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, you're right. Everything I did was wrong. I agree."
Got it.
There's nothing I can say about it. But you kind of live and learn. But he changed a lot too after
Yeah.
we started working together. I mean, it's just different. I don't
Yeah,
know what
it was.
I don't even know what it is. He's just different.
Yeah.
It's just a different.
You said early on when you first hired Mike, you didn't know his story. We didn't really dig into where he came from. It was just kind of like, hey, dude, here's what we're doing. Do this or don't.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, now, I know his family now. I know his story and you know what he did. We actually did the same thing, and I knew that, but I didn't know how bad it was.
Yeah.
And I also realized throughout that, like, dude, I definitely could have done things very different.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And to just make, I remember I had a call. I don't know if you remember this. You might have been, I don't know if it was before you, but I think you were on. And I was like, I don't need friends.
No, you said in front of the office.
Oh, in front of the office. Yeah.
No, he said, I don't need anyone here. That's what I don't said.
Need, and I didn't mean that.
Yeah.
What I meant was, I don't need you to sell for me to live.
Right.
Because I was selling enough to support my family. I'm trying to help you so y'all can do that. But it came out and came across as, I don't need y'all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was stuff like that.
Yeah.
That
How'd you feel when you heard that?
Yeah, we all looked. I'm like, he's not going to be here without us. Like, what's he talking about?
Yeah.
Of course he needs us.
Right.
Who's he think he is?
Yeah.
You know, things like that. So, I tell people everything comes down to perspective. If I think, Mike, you're a good guy, you could do anything in the world and you'll always have the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could come in and accidentally eat throw my sandwich away in the trash. I go, he just didn't know.
Yeah.
But if I think you're a jerk, you got bad intentions, you could come in the morning and say, good morning to me. And I'm like, what do you say that for?
Yeah.
Like, what's he right? Because I think you're bad.
Yep.
It all comes down to perspective and the way you look at people.
So do you think you came in with that perspective of Frank, or there's just something along the way?
Hard. It seems like so long. I don't remember what it was. I just thought, I don't know.
You had that perspective.
It's just something.
I can see how he had it because just the way, I mean,
you were different back then.
Very.
I mean, like you're talking about abrasive, and I mean, listen, none of us, we didn't get into this business because we were, like business people. Like we kind of a lot of us learn business in this business.
Correct.
Right. So you're used to doing something one way that worked. Maybe it worked in mortgages. Maybe it worked in sports. And then you come here and it's like, wow, that shit don't work anymore.
Right. No.
And it's not a one size fits all. I mean, everyone's different. There's some people that that resonates with. But Mike's like, dude, you ain't going to scream and yell at me. Like, I'm not down with that shit.
Right.
Yeah. It was
talk down.
It was just different.
Yeah.
But even, but now, like in the last, it's been another 3.5 years. No, 4 years. Been 19.
2019.
It was 5 years. My
Yep.
God, time flies. But now, like, people come behind Frank, and say, he said this, he did this. I'm like, he didn't mean that.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, you don't know him, like when people complain. So it's just different now.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think probably we both definitely changed.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't help but mature over, time, right? 3-4 years. But I think what you said makes a lot of sense. I read this recently. It's a quote online. It said that we judge ourselves based off of our intentions, and we judge others based off their actions.
Yeah.
And that speaks to exactly
Dude, that's huge.
Like when you think back, looking at it now, you don't doubt that Frank was trying to help.
I don't doubt
right?
it.
Like he's trying to motivate you,
Absolutely.
but that for you wasn't the right type of motivation at the time. But at the time, you were judging him for the actions, not the intent behind it.
Correct.
Which I think we all do. We all fall victim to that.
We do. We do. And I think now we're to the point that we're such, like somebody will ask me a question and then they don't like it, they hang up, and then they call Mike. And Mike's like, so-and-so just called me. And I'm like, we give the same answers, and it's just so good. And I think we've come to this place to where we're all just doing what we're good at.
Yeah.
And we're all serving in a different capacity, and nobody's trying to be the king of the hill. It's just, dude, the more people we help win, the more we win.
Right.
And it's been fun. The last 3-4 years has been really fun.
Yeah.
It comes down to you have an ego too, and this happens, right? Because I specifically remember our group being at like helping 200 families.
Yep.
Families, right? 200.
Agency, you could say numbers.
Oh, agency. Agency's doing 200 grand. Frank was doing 400, so we were 50% at that point. But I got the point, or I got the feeling back then too. People would say, like, Frank is so great. I'm like, he's great. We're like doing half.
Yeah.
And then but people do that now, and it happens. It's always going to happen. Like whoever is unless that group below you is like 95% of what you're doing, that person's going to get credit. And that's an ego thing, and you have to learn to check and realize that it doesn't matter. And if someone's not praising you for the work that's happening, eventually your time will come, and you just have to be happy for that person that you're with. I remember coming back, And we started rolling at one point, right? And Frank, I mean, national, we were at like 500,000, nationals at like 1 million, and people like praise. I didn't care anymore. I needed zero recognition. Like, no one needed to talk to me. Everyone could say Frank was a genius, and at that point in my life,
whatever,
it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's growth when you can sit back and you don't need that type of recognition. And I think that happened a lot too. But then Frank, on the other end, he got good, and where he never did this before. I remember coming back, and then he got good at telling other people, well, yeah, we're doing great, but it's because of this person. And then saying, and that changes.
Shining the light on you.
That changes things too, when that person isn't trying to take credit for, and even if he wasn't trying to take credit, I guess it kind of felt like it too.
Yeah.
But that all comes down to ego. But I think at some point you don't need it. Like, you don't care. Like, the way he'll talk about me, you could tell, like, he's comfortable with it. He doesn't care. He could say Mike does everything and it doesn't matter. I could say Frank, you could say he's a genius, and the only reason you're here is because of him. I really don't care.
Right.
Mike does do everything.
Yeah.
Like, legit.
but I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. And it's sad now because we've had people in our team in the agency, and you can see that same exact dynamic go on. And I'm like, you guys are walking down the same path we did. It doesn't have to be this way, but it comes down to egos. And if you don't drop the ego, it's not gonna end up well.
Right.
You know. So.
And it's our industry, our business is almost the perfect environment for that. Like, it's very competitive.
Yep.
It is ego driven.
Yes.
I don't know anyone who's great at sales that doesn't have some type of ego.
Yeah.
But it's
sure.
learning to manage it and
It
check
is.
it, you know. And again, going back to that, it's you were doing it one way that worked for a small percentage of people, right?
Yeah.
Like, how much did your business grow when you kind of pulled back a little bit from being abrasive?
Oh my gosh, dude, it sailed.
Yeah.
And what I always tell people is, like, if Mike would have been in my shoes at the old deal, and I would have been in his shoes, he would be where I'm at. I'd be where he's at.
Yeah.
Like, I'm lucky that I was where I was at, that I met Sean.
Right.
And you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't that I'm anything better than you. I would just been here longer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you can, at any agency, dude, you can outshine anybody you truly want if you truly want to.
Right.
Yeah.
And outwork the situation.
Yep.
But people don't. They just expect it, and that's how things get really shady.
So when Mike came back, did you get to know him more? Because you said, like, first you really didn't know his dynamic. Like, and it's funny when your guys' stories are very similar, right?
But they're
Mortgage
very
success,
similar.
right?
Extremely similar.
Yeah. Like, once you really got to know him, like, what did you think?
Yeah, I'm like, dude, he's been through the same stuff I am. His wife is as protective of him as mine is of me. It's like we're the same people. Now we go places and everybody's like, "Oh, is that your brother?" Like, every time.
But it makes sense that y'all clash. Sometimes if you're too similar, it's hard.
For sure.
Dude.
For sure. And he was super successful.
Yeah.
At his last deal, and then you come in here and you're kind of at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're not anybody. And him expect, like, all the experience he had, I should have been like, dude, how can you help me help the team, instead of, you got to do this if you want my validation.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I did, like Jesse. You know, Jesse's one of the top IUL guys in the company. He's been very successful. And when he came in, I did that with him. I'm like, dude, how can you help us? You've worked at multiple billion-dollar organizations. You've helped them grow.
He's helped a lot.
And he's helped a ton, you know. But the old me would have been like, dude, you don't have a say until you do X, Y, Z.
Right.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
but you can't do that.
Yeah.
People have value.
Yeah.
Just because they didn't do what we've done here, they could have done something amazing somewhere else, that they bring an idea here that changes everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
and you guys have done a lot of that lately. Like, I hear about the systems you guys have set up, like
him, like, legit.
Yeah.
I couldn't even begin to tell you how it was done, but yeah, it's amazing what it's done for the agency and the agents, and even agents outside of our team.
Well, it's taken all three of us. You know, when you talk about you can't do anything by yourself, like, if it was only me, it wouldn't be able to happen. You know,
Right.
Frank's involved, Jamie's involved, and we all take a little piece of it. But putting things like that and being able to work together, and everyone just kind of doing their piece, is why it works.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely. Some of the stuff, I mean, a lot of these things anyone watching can take advantage of, right? Like,
For sure.
You guys you have leads,
Yep.
right? What's the deal with the leads? How can people tap into those?
Before you say that, are like 50% cheaper than everybody else's
Okay.
because we're not trying to
Right, you're not trying to get rich off leads.
No, trying to get agents.
Obviously, it's a
to
cost
sell.
to create them.
Yeah, yep. Trying to get agents to sell more. So
Yep.
go ahead.
It's funny, all this stuff started by accident. We never sat down and put down a business plan and said we want to build a marketing company. It started out with a couple agents got ripped off. We had one guy lost $10,000. He invested. Someone told him they could build him the best lead ever. Spent $10,000.
Yeah.
And then lost. Another girl spent $5,000. Another person $4,000. Frank was like, "Dude, can we do anything to stop this? Like, how can we create a lead?" And it started out with just doing a couple in our agency, and it started working.
Yeah.
And then we've had a go, and everyone's got a go high level system. But then we started building our own CRM, because when you transition out of the field and you're doing telesales, you're 100, 200, 300 leads a week. You find out real quick you need a CRM. And so that thing started very slowly. And it's funny, he's talking about Jesse. Jesse's very sharp with that kind of stuff. So we actually built a lead system inside of our contracting system. But then more people wanted it. And then eventually we had to get a whole nother system just to manage that. And it just kept growing and growing. It went from doing like 200 leads a week. We're spending, a couple $100 a day, to now sometimes our budget is like $5,000 a day on Facebook and IG. And now there's like 200 people on the CRM, but it never started, like we never sat down and said it, just happened.
Yeah.
And it works now. And now we actually have people using our contracting system. We got a ton of different people on the lead system. People are buying leads using the CRM. And then it was never set out to like, let's see how we can make a bunch of money. It was like, how can we help the agents not lose, give them what they need so they can win, and use it as a recruiting tool. So when people come in, they have a system. They walk in, like Dom, when Dom came in the group, he was like, everyone needs a CRM when they come aboard. He goes, just like if you go to another company, they give you the tools to work.
Right.
And so Dom actually changed our handbook, where he told Jamie, he goes, put it in there. That's one things that they have to get. They have to get the CRM. They're getting leads, just like if you were to go to a regular job. So those things have helped. We actually had a guy call us last night. He's not even at our IMO. He's at another IMO. He was like, how can I have this? I want this CRM, and I want you guys leads. So when I hire people, I tell them that I have a system for them to plug into. We're like, here you go. So
here you go.
It's working. It's doing what it needs to do. And we're not. I've seen people with a CRM with far less than what ours does for like $500, $600, $700 a month.
I bet.
It's like crazy, but people are just ripping people off.
They don't know what they don't know, and that's the thing. It's like, you're expecting the person that you're working with to be giving you the right advice,
Right.
and not taking advantage of you.
Correct.
And then it's just like, so many people are doing that, and I'm like, it's not going to work. What I say all the time, it's not. They're not going to be around, because their agents are going to figure it out, or somebody else, and then it's going to just crumble. We've seen it over and over again. So let's just give them what they need, what they should be paying, and help them.
We actually will have the leads running, and they're all set at one price, but we'll get a new video, or we'll get something. The thing will take off, and our price will come down. The first thing we do, like I'll get a text from Jamie. She goes, Mike, the lead's coming at this. Let's go ahead and put out a price at this for as long as we can hold this price. And then bam, we throw it out there. So rather than the price dropping and we saying, oh, let's just make more money. The first thing Jamie wants to do is cut the price. It says, put out a sale. The leads are coming in good. And, we have people cutting videos all the time. And it's weird how one video of one particular person people will connect with, and it causes the price of the lead to come down. But the first thought is, let's bring the price down, because we're getting it at a good price, and put it out and help people out. I mean, that's the first.
Well, that's why it's working.
Yeah, for sure.
Like seriously, that's why it's working, because it goes back to the name of the company is not just a marketing slogan. It's the truth. Family first life. Like, we put your client first, and everyone wins, right? And that's what essentially the people buying leads are your client, right?
Sure.
Putting them first by, hey, we save money. We're gonna just pass that discount, if you will, on to you guys. So, I mean, you got a handful of people on this, different groups, right? If someone's watching this and they don't know about it, where would they go to get information or get signed up?
Leads.agentcrmcenter.com.
There you go.
Yeah, there's CRM on there, leads on there.
Yeah.
Everything's on there. So
it's open to everyone.
Yep, it is. We got plenty of people outside of our group. Like I said, there's I think 3 or 4 different people in other IMOs that are now using it.
Yeah.
They'll ask me, they're in another IMO. They're like, how do we know that you're not going to get our leads? I'm like, dude, we're so busy. Like, I haven't even opened up another person's CRM. We're like so busy taking care of what we got going on. We have no time to do it. And they trust us,
Yeah, for sure.
For people to be buying from us from another IMO, I mean, they trust what we're doing. So
yeah. And there's a big thing too with you guys, right? Is like developing that trust, because
Yeah.
it sounds like early on there wasn't a lot of for whatever reason. I mean, you both were in business before. Yeah. I'm sure you've been burnt, right? Yeah. There's definitely people that have maybe been in Frank's type of position where they weren't trustworthy. Yeah. And now you're here, like, I gotta trust this guy who I don't know.
Yeah.
And he's screaming and yelling all the time because that's what he was taught, right? Like, you're like, hey, Sean does it, it must work.
That's right.
And you know, you guys had to develop that over time, which it's awesome to see, dude. Like, I knew you prior to you leaving and coming back. I'm like, dude, he came back a different person,
right?
And I've known you for over a decade, probably 15 years, and how much you've changed in this time. And I mean, it is what you got to.
You have to
evolve or die.
That's
in this
right.
business.
That's right. It's a people business.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gotta get better at dealing with people.
Yep, 100%, dude. You guys are both integrity partners, right?
Yeah, his video just came out.
That's right,
last
dude.
Week?
Just came out.
That was
awesome.
about a couple weeks back. Congratulations
Thank
again,
you.
by the way. Dude, what's it like? I mean, now, like, seeing your guys' dynamic, seeing them come back, rebuild this thing, you know, much better than it was before, and now watching them get the deal, man. How's that feel?
It feels amazing. It's well deserved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's one of the hardest working people I've ever met. He never complains. Like, if I could help him do some of the stuff he does, I would.
Yeah.
But I would screw it up more than I did good.
Yeah.
And it's in his head. Like, I can't duplicate it.
Right.
He doesn't ever complain. And, agents call because they know he's the man, right? Like, they call me. I'm like, dude, I have no idea. Call him. I have no idea. Call Mike. And he never complains about it. He talks to everybody. Agents on our team, not on our team, he's such a good team guy and a hard worker that he deserves it.
Yeah.
For sure he deserves it.
Absolutely.
More so than some of the others, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
And so, Jamie and I are just ecstatic for him. It was a long time coming.
Absolutely. What about you, man? How's it feel?
Feels great. You know, I remember coming back and seeing it going. I remember coming back. That's right when Sean was getting his deal and just realizing that was an opportunity. It was always, a goal.
Yeah.
To be able to reach that. So I was excited when Frank got his, and we just kept pushing. And now we're looking to help the next person be able to hit the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he would be talking to agents like, dude, if we help push Frank to his deal, he'll have more. Like, and that's the way it works.
Yeah.
Like, you have so much more to offer when you are an integrity partner. It's like, just let's help him get there. And some of the guys are like, I'm in. Some of the guys are like, no, I'm not. Like, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And I'm like, but again, while we were doing it, we were trying to help Sean.
Right.
Like, build a massive business.
Yeah.
Because in return, if that's happening to him, it's happening to us too.
Absolutely.
Some people just don't get that at all.
I think we still don't have enough people that get it.
No, we don't.
People think they've arrived, and I'm like, we still got a long way to go. We could build this thing bigger.
Right.
And the bigger we build it, the more people we can help.
It's almost like we give ourselves a little too much credit for what we do. Like, dude,
right.
We're selling life insurance to people that are asking for life insurance. Like,
right.
Knock it off. Like, dude, if I'm working at McDonald's, I'm not celebrating every damn cheeseburger I make. Like, bro, they're driving through the drive-through. Like, I'm the best. No, dude, it's McDonald's. This shit sells itself, bro. Like,
That's
knock
funny.
it off. You're not I'm the best server. No, dude, you're just doing your job. Shut up. Like, it's the same thing here, though. Like, the client filled out a form for life insurance.
Right.
You're calling them up. And now you're not even going to their house anymore. So you're at your house, calling them up, giving them what they want. I mean, dude, this stuff literally sells itself. There's an ethos link that the client can buy a policy themselves and you get paid.
Right.
So let's not act like we're so special.
Yeah, I'm
now
with you.
work your ass off, sure. Like that you're special there, but as far as what we do, dude, we're not curing cancer or putting people on the moon for the love of
100%.
God, So it's like, take a step back and be a little bit humble and understand that, dude, it's a simple business. Yeah. It's not easy, but it's simple.
No doubt about it.
This stuff's harder than the life.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure. Managing a relationship,
Yeah.
Getting people to honestly trust what you're doing. And it's just, that takes time.
Yeah.
It just takes time.
I mean, I believe everything happens for a reason, right? Like, I mean, if we go back, I wish she never quit. Wish we were great from day one, but y'all went through it. But coming out of this on the other side, I'll ask both of you. I'll start with you, Frank. What's the biggest lesson you learned from your relationship with Mike that you've carried into recruiting and managing other agents?
I mean, I learned a bunch. Patience is one, and you hit the nail on the head. Everything does happen for a reason. Like, when he did leave, a lot of the people that left didn't come back. You came back by yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and when you came back, do you remember the explosion we had when it all got ironed out?
Yeah.
Like we exploded. And what I realized was, dude, all the people that weren't supposed to be here are now not here.
Yeah.
And then everybody that's here we're all on the same page, and you can grow so much faster. I think we try to hold on to people and push them to do things that they don't want to do instead of just finding the people that want to do it and working with them and not pushing people that don't want to do it to do things that just never going to do.
Right.
You stay more sane that way. And I stopped putting expectations on people. Like you want to do, you want to help 3 families a month, have at it, bro. I'm all for it. You want to take 7 vacations a year, have at it. I'm all for it. Whatever you do, just don't cry to me when you need money. Yep. You know what I mean? If you want to do it, I'll help you do whatever you want to do. But don't complain about your situation if a year down the road you're not where you need to be financially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. What about you, Mike?
I think I learned, you got to check your ego at the door. Sean always talks about you either have a big ego or a big business, and check your ego, be humble, and that's probably about it.
Yeah.
Those 2 things.
That's huge. I mean,
that's it.
Yeah.
Big
That's
things.
Yeah. I love how he just simplified. But it's a big deal, though, right? It's like you chose big ego at first, and then you chose big business, and here we are.
Yeah, that's it.
But I mean, from the outside, not really outside, but from my perspective, watching, it's been cool to see. Yeah. And I've learned a lot from it, just like knowing that, dude, hey, listen, I mean, that big thing that you said is don't put an expectation on someone they didn't ask for. Yeah. And that goes in life in general. I mean, whether it's siblings, friends. I mean, we get so caught up when we're like, this person's not doing this.
Right.
Yeah, but did they ever say they wanted to?
No doubt.
You know what I mean? Like,
or you do something for somebody and expect them to return it.
Yeah.
You're like, that's not how this
right.
works.
I would have done that. Okay, but they're not you.
They're not you. That's the biggest lesson Sean's taught me is like, dude, you have to stop thinking that people are like you or are going to do what you're going to do because they're not most of the time. Right. So stop. Yeah. You'll be a lot less pissed off all the time if you just do that. And that's taking a while.
Because when you think about like, are you doing it for what's going to come in return, or are you doing it just to help them?
Correct.
Which one? Yeah. And if you're doing it just to help them, then you're not worried about, well, how does he react?
That's right.
And people get so, like, and I've learned, like, you go out in public and you hold the door for someone, right? And they don't say thank you.
Yeah.
Dude, for the longest, I'm like,
all right.
Or I'll be like, you're welcome. How immature and stupid is that, number one, right? Like, dude, how do I know if maybe they're just like have social anxiety and don't want to say anything in public.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah. But also, who the hell cares?
Correct.
Was I holding the door for the thank you, or was I holding the door just to help the person out?
Because it's the right thing to do.
Exactly.
Right.
It's a good point.
Right?
Yeah, it is a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying every day, dude. I'm not.
Ain't that the truth?
I'm not saying that if I go to Home Depot on the way home and help someone out and they don't say thank you, I'm not going to be upset. But I'm trying.
Yeah, that's right.
But again, it goes back to that. We judge people based off of their actions, and we judge ourselves based off of our intent.
For sure.
And it's like you don't know the intent behind the actions. And I think that speaks to you guys day one, right?
100%.
He was screaming, yelling, but trying to motivate you. Yeah. But you ain't looking at the motor. You're like, dude, why was he screaming like that for? What the hell's his problem? Yeah. And you're like, he ain't listening to me, and I'm trying to help him. Why won't he listen to me? And like, dude, because you're screaming at him,
Yeah.
And it's something so simple.
So simple. So simple. That would, I think, bothered me the most. Was like, dude, I truly wanted him to win. Yeah. I want everybody to win. And they're like, Frank doesn't care or doesn't, you know what I mean? I'm going like, that's so not true.
Right.
But then I'm going like in the mirror, what do I need to get people to believe that? Yeah. And it's the communication, period.
Yeah, absolutely. Because your intent was there, but it wasn't getting across in your message. And it's like that. If you're communicating something and the person on the other end isn't receiving it, it's your fault.
That's right. 100%.
But we get so caught up in, they didn't listen to me. They're not listening. They don't understand. Yeah, well, maybe you need to be a better communicator. You ever think about that?
Dude, that's 99% of the problems in this business.
Absolutely.
Is communication.
Yeah.
I mean, how many problems do we have? It's like boils down to it was just communication.
And think about when it all got fixed was, you came back 6 months later, y'all sat down and just spoke to each other one-on-one.
That's right.
Because here's what happens too often, right? Mike does something that pisses me off, and instead of talking to Mike, I go, yo, Frank, you believe what Mike said?
Yeah.
Dude, right. I hate when he does that. And you're like, I know, he does that shit to me all the time, blah, blah. And then we do that. And then I see you, I don't say nothing. Then after a few times, then it pisses me off. Like, instead of me just going, hey, bro, Why'd you say that?
We were just talking about that. I was talking about someone I wasn't. Frank goes, "You say something?" I go, "No." I said, "It's just festering." He goes, "That's going to cause some problems. Like eventually, it'll just blow up if you don't say something." So, one thing about me, and I've learned, I just don't like confrontation. I'll let things just build up, and then eventually I just snap, which is the wrong thing.
Right, it makes it worse.
But I just realized, like my wife and daughter, man, they were like fighting like cats and dogs last week, and my wife's like, "Call her, do this, do that," and I'm just like, I don't want to do it.
And it's funny, we were with Sean a month ago, and I'm thinking if he doesn't learn to deal with it, confrontation, he's not going to grow. And remember we were sitting, I was like, Sean, how do we do this? Like Mike doesn't like, but I don't mind it. He goes, well then you just keep doing it. I'm like, huh? He's like, yeah, you keep doing it. Let him do what he's like. I'm like, oh, okay, good. Right. I don't have to push, because it's always the old dilemma of you got to get uncomfortable to grow, and if you're not, then you're not growing. But that's not necessarily always the case with stuff like that, you know. Right. So yeah, we've definitely come a long way. Yeah, and
I never realized that I did, but yeah, I don't know why, man. When there's a problem coming up, I'm like, Frank, call an ambulance, man. I'll take care of this.
Yeah,
stuff,
but that's okay, because when there's a problem, when something I can't, I'm like, call Mike. You know what I mean? And that's kind of, it's like we just do it, and there's no resentment on, hey, I talked to 4 of your agents. You only talk to one. Like we do. We just talk to everybody.
Right.
And it all comes out in the wash. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, hey, this has been great. I had some fun doing this.
No doubt.
And I mean, it's just cool, like, because it's kind of like real life proof to all the things we talk about every day, right? Mindset, communication, and if we just
and egos. How many people have left?
Absolutely.
I'm sure a lot of people, they were all because of ego.
Oh yeah.
Everyone wants credit.
Yep.
Everyone wants to be the guy.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
But it's really like, dude,
I do know well.
Yeah. But it's like when none of us are the guy. It's a team.
That's right.
If we can go back to that where it's just one big team, who cares?
That's right.
Well, he's not on my team. Who gives a shit?
Oh, jeez.
It's going to come back to you in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
And
probably tenfold.
Absolutely. And this is living testament. Like, what do you guys issue? What would you issue last month?
A little over 2 million.
Over 2 million.
Yep.
And when you left originally, where were you guys at?
2. You were at 200 because you were at
200.
4. I left,
yeah, we were at 400, and then he left. We dropped down to. Actually, we dropped below because y'all announced this. This is why else I was mad at you. At conference, y'all announced VPs, and you didn't even announce me. And I was bad. I was like, damn it, Mike. So I felt like, and that was 6 years in.
Wow.
5 years in, somewhere around. And I'm like, I'm like,
so you're less than 150.
Yeah.
When he left.
Yeah. I was like, dude, this is brutal.
Wow.
But less than it was, dude, it was so good. I mean, it was obviously God was like, dude, you need to figure some stuff out because you ain't ready.
So if Mike didn't leave,
yeah,
do you think you would have matured at the rate that you did?
No. I was running people off.
Yeah.
I mean, left and right, just because, again, I expected everybody to want to do, and I knew he wanted to because, like, he was always working.
Yeah.
Like, and he was doing stuff that, again, I'm like, oh, another spreadsheet. But that's how it's how his brain comprehends what we do. Like, even now, he's like, dude, look at this spreadsheet. And I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome. Yeah. Like he has one where you could plug in number of agents, average AP, and it'll tell you like what you should make and your team volume. I'm like, dude, that is so badass. I never cared about that because obviously if we'd have said that to Sean, he'd be like, dude, just go to work. Yeah. Now, I also couldn't build a spreadsheet.
Right.
But it's just learning people, again, like you said, everybody's a little different, and you have to figure out how they grow and learn and focus. And his is more of a structural kind of thing, and mine's more of a fly by the seat of my pants.
Right. And it's like when you guys can acknowledge that and work together, then it blows up.
It blows up.
Yeah.
It does.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys coming up, and I appreciate y'all sharing this. The first time we've done, something like this, which is cool. It's exciting. I hope everyone, listen and learn from this and understand that, dude, first of all, nobody's perfect. We're all human. Yeah, that whole thing, like, hurt people. Well, a lot of us are banged up.
No doubt.
And then we get into this business and, overnight want to become a, business professional.
Right.
And we make a mess.
Yep, for sure.
It happens. But also, there's also proof of, dude, you can make a mess and clean it up. And when you get everything rolling right on the tracks, dude, it's amazing on the other side.
For sure.
Now we're talking, two guys who couldn't get along. One guy ran off, came back. Now we're looking at two integrity partners that, combined do over $2 million a month.
Yeah.
really just getting rolling.
Dude, he employs my nephew, my sister, because I won't work with my family because my dad, my mom and her brother don't talk to this day because my mom works. So I will never employ a family member. So I'm like, you know, my sister needed a job. I'm like, Mike, you need somebody? He's like, yeah. And then my nephew, he brought him on. I'm like, you know, it's like, yeah, he's comes to our house, goes to my sister's house. It's just,
It's funny now. Think about, you know, the way things were 7, 8, 9 years ago. And like, I'm at his sister's house and we're over there eating dinner. Like Frank's not there.
Yeah.
You know, eat dinner, you know, so it's funny now.
Yeah,
you know,
I bet 10 years ago you couldn't even picture yourself at his house.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
So
Crazy.
Things change. We go to church and I'm like sitting back. He's not even there, and I'm like hanging out with his dad for like an hour after church. You know,
that's cool.
Just BSing. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's
Awesome.
Good stuff. It is.
Well, that's been fun to watch, and you know, I appreciate everything you guys do.
Appreciate you.
Like I love that, and you said it when we did your True Talk recently. Like that's how we built this company.
Yeah.
The stuff y'all are doing with leads and stuff, where it's just, hey, whoever, come on.
Yep.
That's how we built this.
You know, people think obviously you're just inviting people to make money, but what we learned is the more people that buy, we can drive that cost down.
Yeah.
You know, if Facebook doesn't care about you when you're spending $200 a day.
No.
But when you're dropping $5,000 a day, they call you like every day, and they want to be involved. You know, they want to help.
Absolutely.
So we were like, you know what? Rather than just keeping it for us, yes, it does benefit us, but if we let other people come in, everyone benefits. You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
So there's plenty of people out there. I love these guys. Like, I don't want to give up my lead strategy for me. It's like, dude, there's hundreds of millions of people in this country. Relax.
Correct. Yeah.
Unlimited.
Yeah.
Unlimited.
Yep.
There's a million licensed life agents in the country. We're not even scratching
we're
the
good.
surface. Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all doing this. Appreciate y'all coming up, sharing. Guys, hit subscribe button, like this if you haven't already. Definitely share this one with your team, and hopefully y'all learn something from this. Thanks for checking us out, and you know where to find us every week right here on True Talk. I'll see you next week.